another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. This episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast is sponsored by Model 55. Model 55 provides turnkey model apartment and design solutions for senior living communities, combining quick nationwide service with deep expertise in creating model apartments. Model 55's designs are more than just aesthetically pleasing. They are strategically designed to drive occupancy and sales. From custom designs to ready-to-ship kits, Model 55 has solutions for any budget. For more information, www.model55.com. That's model55.com. I'm Julie Podewitz, CEO and founder, and today I welcome Chad Carnes and Shelli Webster to the show today. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Shelli Webster is a sales specialist with Grow Your Occupancy, and there's a reason I invited you on. You can join anytime though, Shelli. And Chad Carnes, you are the Chief Operating Officer for YMP Senior Living.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. So you all have known each other professionally for quite some time, right?
Yes, indeed. Couple of decades, close to a couple of decades now.
A couple of decades.
Yes. He was my mentor. Yeah, he was my mentor. So it was really nice to reconnect.
Oh, that's awesome. He was your mentor?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. Did you work for the same company?
We did. He worked on the east coast of Florida, and I worked on the west coast of Florida. And my property was kind of going through some things that he had already gone through. So
were you both in the same role or similar roles at the time?
I was a sales director. I think you were a regional.
I was a regional director of operations, and Shelli was a sales director at a community with the same organization that we worked for. And so I had gone through a conversion of converting an assisted living into a freestanding memory care. And the proposal was to have Shelli's community do the same. And Shelli, being in sales, obviously was a little bit apprehensive about going through a conversion. So she and I got to spend some good quality time together. I went down actually and spent time at her community and walked her through what that conversion looked like. And we did it. She did it and was extremely successful.
I think I remember. I know what community you're talking about. I know your success. Shelli, you taught me 12 at 12 marketing.
Oh.
Invite 12 professionals in at noon for lunch. If you're listening out there, it's a great outreach networking opportunity. People would call you, right?
Oh my God.
Who's going to be there next month, right?
They did. They loved it. And it was actually a recommendation from my regional sales director, back then. And I thought, oh, this is never going to work. Last words.
Well, it does. And one of the many, many things I love about this business is the relationships that are formed, right? They're really relationship focused business, very high touch, really in every single area. And the fact that you've known each other or knew each other or worked professionally 20 years ago, and paths, our journeys, right? Our journeys go in different directions, and then the paths recross and cross, and look at everything that you've both done. And now we're on the same podcast. I love it. Now you're both in different roles. Chad, tell us about the company, YMP Senior Living. I'd never heard of it until I met you a little while ago, and your role as Chief Operating Officer.
Yeah, so I work for YMP Real Estate Management Company. With YMP Real Estate Management, we own, operate, and manage residential properties, commercial properties, and obviously now senior living. And so YMP has created a separate division called YMP Senior Living. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer over that division. We just started basically the senior living business right in 2019, just right in the cusp. We purchased in May of 2019, and as we all can recall, March of 2020, you hit COVID. So it's been an interesting time, but Y&P brought me on to oversee their assisted living division, obviously based off my skill set and my experience. And going from such a large corporation, corporate atmosphere into, while we're a corporate entity, if you will, it's very different going from a large portfolio into a smaller portfolio, but equally just as exciting as we are a growing company.
Very, very interesting. So, and you're based in Florida.
Yes. So our corporate office is in Lauderdale Lakes, Florida, so east coast of Florida. And our facilities, communities are in the southeast coast of Florida. But obviously we are looking to, as we grow our senior living portfolio, we're specifically looking to grow within the state of Florida, no matter where it's at, whether it's the East Coast, north, south, west, whatever, we're looking to grow within the state of Florida. We feel that it's important to really keep our portfolio, our assets close to us. So we're definitely looking to grow our company within the state.
There's a ton of opportunity, no doubt, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you mentioned, Chad, earlier about the that it's equally as exciting, right? So you've had a lot of experience at a company of a large provider in senior living, and now Y&P has multiple divisions. The senior living division you have 3 communities, is that right?
Yes. That we're going to open our 3rd within the next 60 days or so.
You are? Okay. But you said equally as exciting.
Yes.
Tell us about like what would you say are the similarities and the differences between like working in that real large corporate infrastructure and now a startup, at least that division of startup?
Yeah, I mean, I think the similarities are obviously we're all assisted living communities, we're all memory care communities, so we're all offering the same product, the same services, if you will. I mean, in regulatory wise, similar policies and procedures are similar. I think what's different and what is exciting is, me being in a role that I can actually help facilitate change, working for larger companies. And again, not saying anything negative, because if it weren't for those organizations, I truly would not be here today. But I think oftentimes we find ourselves in positions when you work for larger communities or larger companies, you're kind of cookie cutter, right? It's the same marketing collateral. It's the same approach to resident programs. And again, oftentimes those are the best of the best. We learn from those acquisitions and taking on those new companies or those new communities. But equally, I then can take what I've learned from the best of the best and spin that to my local communities, while equally being able to have a voice with my community teams to make change and not treat everything as a cookie cutter. That it's really, when you look at owning your neighborhood, and we talk about that in sales all the time, is that I have that ability to work closely with my community teams and that flexibility that I can really focus on targeting our specific market, our specific community, because each community has its own niche or may have its own niche, and each market may have its own calling. And so I feel that we're in a better position to actually meet that market demand, meet that calling of that market, again, versus having to make everything the same across all product lines.
They were very locally focused, right? In senior living,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. What's different, even when it's not that far distance. I'm in Middle Tennessee now. We lived in Southwest Florida many, many years. And Shelli, you're in Southwest Florida now, so we got Go Florida here on the call. That you can be a half hour away, even 15 minutes away or a few miles away, and be very different
yes.
in the local geographic, right?
And if you throw a bridge into the mix, forget it.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, if you got a bridge, you're in Pittsburgh. I just remember about Pittsburgh because it was 1 mile, right? But we had to cross that bridge, and there's a lot of them in Florida, right?
Well, to your point, Julie, I think what I've learned, being in the Southeast, to what Shelli shared earlier is, I'm accustomed to being up in North Florida, and now to be in the South. just the cultural differences. And so you really have to look at, and we all talk about the three P's, right? Product, pricing, and people. And again, that's what puts me in a different position, and a great position, is that I'm able to, again, look at each individual product, assess the people, because each neighborhood is a different person, whether that's the family, whether that's the resident, that could be your own employees, your own staff. And so being able to assess those different things, to your point, I could be 40 minutes away. I'm 40 minutes away from my sister competitor. Two different markets, so it's different pricing, it's different services, it's different products. And to be able to be in that position to really make those changes, I've again found very exciting and very helpful, because it's also equally nice because it attracts a better team, because you're meeting the needs of those team members based on what they're saying to you, based on their feedback, based on their recommendations, those ideas. We may fail, but as long as you're winning more times than failing, let's go for it. Let's do it.
I love it. You mentioned lease up, or you mentioned you have 3 communities, you're opening your 3rd one soon, or opening
Yes.
your 3rd one soon. So lease up. There's a lot of acquisition, a lot of distressed acquisitions happening now, and acquisitions so it's always an exciting time. They are considered lease ups, or at least I consider them, and many of my colleagues do, as well as your literal, right? Your literal lease ups going from 0 to 100. You've had some great success. I can ask you kind of a dual question, and Shelli, I know you've done both too, lease ups and acquisitions, and taking over existing properties. But so as a COO, so ops, and I loved it at 20 years ago, you were regional ops, leaning into to help sales from a different, for sister communities. So how do you really lead as a COO from a sales perspective? And then if you wouldn't mind sharing along those lines also a lease up and some of your tips for success and some of your challenges there.
Yeah, and I loved what you guys shared earlier as far as the 12 for 12. I think that's huge, especially coming again from a smaller company, and again, a more hands-on experience. Is I think oftentimes we get in positions, especially in sales, whether we're throwing an event or having something special going on in our community, we really think about volume, right? We really think about, oh, we've got 40 people attending, we've got 30 professionals attending, 50 social workers attending. That's great. That's fantastic. But in order to establish those personal connections, and again, to own your neighborhood, get to know your neighborhood, is having those smaller type events and really focus specifically on that professional that you're dealing with. One of the things that we have found to be very successful is really targeting our marketing efforts and our sales efforts on a specific audience. So whether we've done collateral, we've really focused our efforts here at Hallandale Beach on our realtors. It's a big real estate. South Florida is huge in real estate. We all see it booming. And so we've actually focused our efforts on dealing with real estate agents, and again, bringing them into our community, offering a referral bonus if appropriate, and again, targeting our efforts and building those relationships with those specific individuals. And just last month, we did the exact same thing with our local case managers, discharge planners, because they get that unique need, right? They get that we're able to tailor our approach to those professionals and what they do professionally, instead of doing a whole event where we're disconnected, right? The way I'm going to talk to a discharge planner is very different in the way I'm going to talk to a physician, or I'm going to talk to a real estate agent. And so that's what we have found valuable and successful, is really being able to target our sales efforts and our marketing efforts on individual groups of professionals. And because it then also gives you that quality time to spend and actually get to know about Chad, get to know about Julie, and understand where they're coming at in their referral base. But equally, how can we partner together? What's the win-win?
I love that. Again, we're high touch.
Yes.
We're personal needs relationship based business. I guess another reason so many people are drawn that work in our business work in it. And you need one referral at a time, one move-in at a time. Same thing, I love this, where you're saying, own your neighborhood. And I'm taking notes, these are my takeaways. Own your neighborhood. So really know that local, and local means local, right? You don't have this wide reach with 100 people coming. A lot of people put so much pressure on themselves about events, that there's these large, big party, big things that take a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of, months and months and months of prep. Certainly want to prep, but you can have, if 5 people came and you develop relationships, or targeted, like you said, targeted too. Shelli, you may not remember this. One thing that you said to me many years ago, when you're making phone calls and setting appointments for outreach, you put them in groups. So Chad, when you're saying like all the realtors, all of the discharge planners. So when you were making phone calls and set appointments, you got into a rhythm. You got into a rhythm of, it's not robotic, but you're sort of in that mindset of, that non-medical, maybe real estate, or maybe you were in more of that faith-based, church-focused in a mind where you're making those calls, having those conversations, get into the zone. And the same, Chad, what you're saying about maybe even events, not to say you can't invite, more than one type of referral source, but great, sounds like some great success there with boots on the ground, really.
Yeah. And I think the way that helps in turn, when you're looking at a startup, Julie, is that, you've now already established those relationships, right? And hopefully you're already establishing that pipeline of those potential referrals. You're doing your hard hat tours, you're building that deposit list, if you will. But equally, it actually puts you in a better position too when you're ready for your opening, right? You can go ahead and have those pre-scheduled events, so that way when your doors are open, you can equally now bring those professionals into your community. And again, match up what may work together, but you've already kind of got those relationships established. You can already start building your calendar for those future events. And equally, hopefully your joint marketing, that's what we have found to be very successful, is who do you know that you want to introduce me to, and who do I know that I want to introduce you to, and really build those partnerships. And for startup, that's critical, right? It's really getting to know your neighborhood, own that market, understand that market. And what a great opportunity to do that during a startup. And again, it kind of pays that way. So when the doors are open, you've already got your calendar planned out. You've got your quarterly marketing plan done. And now it's just hit the road. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So when you do open, you are at 18, 20% deposits, and you're just going to continue to build on that momentum.
I love it. I love it. Shelli, anything on startups or lease ups, outreach?
I think the only thing that I would add, that I think Chad, you and I had talked about before, was and basically just continuing really what Chad is saying, is the importance of staying connected to your depositors as well, until you get really nurturing them to opening. So I think you guys are kind of running the full gamut.
Yeah.
It does. It does. And for those of you listening that may work for a larger company, because we're so hyper local focused, you can, the company that you're helping to run, which is your community, is a hyper local focused business within a business, potentially within a business, right? So like you said, oh, I love that. Own your neighborhood, and that it sounds like you're making some great strides. Yes, the digital marketing is important, and that's how most people are going to find us, but you don't need as many, those from the boots on the ground relationship. Hey, I know these, or who do you know that might want to meet me, and vice versa. Some like great advice. What about, since you've worked a lot in operations, and now as a COO, you've also worked on the sales side, and we're all in sales, right? What would you say is most important for you as COO as it relates to sales and actually digging in?
Yeah, I think with my sales team, again, understanding their marketing plan, right? What is the business development? What is the return on that investment? Like, why are we going there? Help me understand. I come in uneducated, if you will, when it comes to own your neighborhood. I do that to challenge my sales team because I expect my sales team to know the neighborhood, know what is your marketing plan, what is your business development plan, and tell me, why are we going to this person? What is the outcome? What is the result? So really having that planning with the sales team. Sitting down, there's nothing more, I think, critical than sitting down with your sales team and doing a lead review. Talk about what are those closes, who are we working on 30, 60, 90. We should constantly be massaging those leads. I have found in one of my communities, they are so busy. They do double-digit move-ins every single month. And so really, again, we have those months, we all do, where you end the month on top in sales, you start the new month on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have to make sure you're constantly looking forward, and with a community that has double-digit move-ins, they're nonstop go, go, go. Do I need to assess adding additional labor, additional support? But it's we have to talk through that, and I have to understand where are we at in the journey with these residents or these prospective residents. And also, are they just taking the low-hanging fruit? Are we forgetting about the person that needs to be massaged for 6 months, for 90 days? Are we missing an opportunity that someone else, the competitor, is calling them, massaging them? So it's just really making sure we're staying focused. And I think lead reviews are critical. And if you have no leads to talk about, that starts another conversation, right? And so it's really being able to keep them. And that's where I think that finds value with my sales team, is that they get to have that touch with the chief operating officer, right? And Chad's coming, he's going to talk to us about sales. That's super exciting because operations typically does operations. And so to have that relationship with the sales team, that they sit with me, they're not with their executive director, they're talking directly to me and giving me their thoughts, their ideas, and equally I'm strategizing with them of, have we thought about this? What do we need for collateral? Have you already developed that? Can I help you? And being able to, again, to help keep them focused, which equally I think energizes them because they know that I care. They know that I'm in partnership with them. And we're moving forward together. We're working together to make this happen. I'm not a barrier. I'm not a roadblock. I want to learn from you, and equally, I hope you're learning from me. And it's just, so it's, again, same thing we do in sales all day, is relationship building that trust, building that relationship. Equally, I think that's what's critical in my role and what I play to motivate my sales team to move them forward to ultimately benefit the customer as well as the company.
I love that you do that. And I feel like I'm a sales director. Like I love that. And I love that they feel supported by you. They feel that, a lot more supported because you're there in person. You're helping them drive that business. So I love it.
Thank you, Shelli. And I forgot to mention this, you guys. And that's one of the other things that is different about YMP Senior Living, is the sales directors actually report to me, to the chief operating officer. They have the dotted line to the executive director. And the reason why that is not to create internal conflict, because we all know about the three-legged stool, ops, sales, clinical. We get that. But equally, we wanted to be able to remove any barriers, because we often know sometimes in sales that can create some barriers internally. And so to kind of keep the platform even and flat, the sales team actually reports directly to me with that dotted line to the executive director. So that way they're able to move their thoughts, their business, they're able to move that forward. And again, having that relationship with myself and the partnership with the executive director is critical. And that's what we found to be a nice balance, again, to avoid some of that internal conflict.
Interesting. Yes, I agree. And Chad, it sounds like your customers, like you are in sales, we're all in sales. Your customers are your salespeople, right? Your sales team. So you do the same, feel seen and heard, listen, support, keep the relationship going, and helping move forward, right? Helping them move forward, just like then their customers are doing the same thing. Listen. And it's not always easy to say, like, how can I help you? People might not know the answer to that. So you're figuring it out by drilling down and continuing to ask and know them, not just them as people, but also them, meaning their business.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and I
awesome.
think, it's servant leadership, Julie. And, that's how I've always worked in my professional career. Oftentimes I take it home with me, if you will. And I think that's the big piece, chief operating officer, sales director, executive director, they're all fun, great titles, and, we're compensated well, we do well, but equally it's that servant leader and being able to really partner with a team and work within that team. It's critical. I think that it's a game changer to be able to have true relationships with your staff, regardless of what their roles are and regardless of what their positions are. It's having those relationships, and that trickles down. It trickles to your residents, it trickles to your families, your vendors, your third parties, because they feel that. And that's what, again, another unique opportunity that I'm in is, we sit here, I'm sitting in a community today. The residents know me, the families know me. I'm in the dining room, help serving in the dining rooms. I love to touch the tables and talk about how is the meal service, tasting the food myself. And it really, again, it's all about those relationships. And then you start to feel it and you start to hear the chatter, and the energy just gets better and better and better. And it's a great thing as a COO to actually experience and enjoy seeing the fruits of my labor to my team's labor.
I love it. I can tell how passionate you are, Chad, about what you're doing now, YMP, certainly your residents and everybody that you serve, your team members, families, and the journey that you've taken over the course of your career, and to maintain that passion it really is inspiring. What would you, Shelli, I'll ask you too, what about someone who's just new to senior living or thinking about senior living, or maybe someone who feels a little burned out? What advice would you give, or why, what keeps you going, and why do you love this business and your part in it?
Well, I think, you hear different organizations and find your why. Why do you do this? And we all have those challenging days. We all have those, again, we lose today, we lost. And you got to look back and find those winning moments. And again, that was my experience today. I'm in the community. I went and I got a text from the executive director that one of the servers called in sick at midnight last night. Got it. I'll be in the dining room and I'll help at a breakfast this morning. So that's what I did. I was down in the dining room at 7:30 this morning, and I served our residents along with the other servers that were here because we were short one. I loved it. I got to spend time with the residents. And again, you get that appreciation from those frontline associates, from the directors of, he's in the building and he's serving breakfast. I wouldn't do it any differently. And so today I'm a winner. And that is exactly what it's all about, is just finding those reasons why you do this. And hopefully in senior living, every day that you go home, even if you lost, there has to be something you did in that moment, in that day, that there's a nugget that you can pull out and say, this is why I do what I do. And I promise you, anyone that's truly in senior living, we do this not for the money, but we do this for a reason. And I promise you, if you anytime you're in a senior living and you do what you do, I promise you can find a nugget that proves that this is why you're here.
I agree 100%. I could be having the most frustrating day in my office and walk out and come face to face with the sweetest resident who tells me I look fabulous that day. It's the little things like that. It's really being there for them. And I agree with you. We're not here to get rich. We're here to be help, right? Aids to this growing population that needs us so much. they don't understand the difference between all of the continuums of care and all of that. They don't understand how this whole thing works. So they rely on people like us who genuinely love it and care and are out for them.
Yeah, to me, it's wow. We get the opportunity to take care of the most vulnerable population out there and to learn so much from them, their families, their histories. It's just, to me, it's a wow factor, and I couldn't see myself doing anything, won't do anything differently.
Me neither. I'm a lifer.
Thank you both so much for joining me. Shelli Webster, Chad Carnes, Chief Operating Officer, YMP Senior Living. We at Grow Your Occupancy are honored and privileged to support you all in your support and love and passion for what you do in your role, whatever it is, to make it a win. Chad, that's my takeaway today. When you lose, you win. Find us on growyouroccupancy.com. Check out our new merch store and some really fun merch. Have you hugged your caregiver today? I'm so excited about that. I love senior living merch. Wear it, share it, be super proud of this incredible business you all serve. Thank you again so much for being on. I'm Julie Podewitz. We'll see you next time. This episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast is sponsored by Model 55. Model 55 provides turnkey model apartment and design solutions for senior living communities, combining quick nationwide service with deep expertise in creating model apartments. Model 55's designs are more than just aesthetically pleasing. They are strategically designed to drive occupancy and sales. From custom designs to ready-to-ship kits, Model 55 has solutions for any budget. For more information, www.model55.com. That's model55.com.